Oh, my dear friend, it's so good to have you here again. I hope you've brought your sun hat and maybe that cup of tea you love, because today we're going to slow down, breathe, and look at our gardens through brand new eyes. Picture it with me an early morning on your porch, the air cool and gentle, the light just beginning to spill across the yard. You glance at that old boot tucked in the corner of the shed, the stack of tin cans from last night's dinner, the chipped teacup sitting lonely on the shelf. Most folks would toss them without a second thought, but not you, not today. Because today we're turning what might have been thrown away into something blooming, beautiful, and full of character. You don't need a big budget. You don't need strong knees or heavy lifting. All you need is a touch of imagination, a few everyday items, and the joy of creating something with your own two hands. This isn't just about making pretty planters or clever decor. It's about connection between you and the earth, between past and present. It's about honoring the way our grandparents used to live, nothing wasted, everything given another chance. So let's take a walk together, friend. Let's turn trash into treasures, one little project at a time. Do you remember that pair of boots you wore on rainy mornings? The ones that carried you through muddy garden paths, or maybe snowy sidewalks years ago? They're scuffed now, maybe with a hole in the sole or cracked leather, and they've been sitting in the back of a closet or leaning forgotten against the shed wall. Most people would see only the wear and tear, but to us, they're a story waiting to bloom. Turning old boots into planters is more than a clever trick. It's a way of honoring the life those boots have walked. Each crease in the leather, each faded scuff is a memory. And now, instead of hiding them away, we're giving them a second life right out in the sunshine. It's simple, really. First, give your boots a gentle clean. Nothing fancy, just a little warm, soapy water to remove the dust and mud. They don't have to look perfect. In fact, the worn look gives them charm. Then, using a screwdriver or even a heated fork, poke a few drainage holes in the soles. That way your plants won't get waterlogged. Inside each boot, place a small layer of gravel or stones. This helps the water drain freely. Next comes the fun part, choosing your plants. Petunias with their bright smiles, cheerful marigolds, or even mint for a fresh scent when you walk by. Fill the boots halfway with potting mix, nestle in your plants, and then top off the soil gently around the roots. A light watering is all they need to start their new chapter. Now where to put them? I like mine by the front door, greeting visitors with color and life. You might hang them on a fence using a bit of sturdy twine, or set them along a garden path so they peek out from between the greenery. They become little surprises in the landscape, making you smile each time you pass. The beauty of this project is that it requires no heavy lifting, no bending for long stretches. You can work at a table sitting comfortably, and when you're done, the boots are easy to move wherever your garden or your mood needs a pop of cheer. And here's the deeper truth: those boots once meant for walking now stand still, holding life instead of carrying it. They remind us that even when our pace slows, we can still bring beauty into the world. We can still bloom. So before you toss that tired pair away, pause and picture them filled with flowers, catching the sunlight and telling their story. A story that now belongs to your garden. There's something comforting about an egg carton, isn't there? That soft, familiar shape, the way it cradles each egg in its own little pocket. Maybe you remember bringing them home from the market in a paper bag or collecting warm eggs from a backyard coop years ago. These days, when the carton is empty, it's easy to flatten it up for the recycling bin. But before you do, let's see it for what it truly is, a ready-made seed nursery just waiting to help new life sprout. This project is especially kind to gentle hands. The lightweight paper cartons are easy to carry, even for those of us who don't want to fuss with heavy trays or soil bags. And the little compartments? They're perfect for keeping each seed snug and separate, giving it the best chance to grow strong. To begin, choose a paper egg carton, not plastic or foam. Paper cartons are biodegradable, which means you can plant them right into the soil later without disturbing tender roots. Snip off the lid with scissors and set it aside. You'll be working with the base, the part with the little cups. Place the carton on a shallow tray or plate to catch any drips. Fill each cup about 3/4 full with seed starting mix or a light potting soil. The soil should be soft and crumbly, so tiny roots can move easily through it. Then drop in your seeds, just 1 or 2 per cup. Lettuce, basil, or zinnias are wonderful choices for beginners, and they don't take long to show their first green shoots. Now give them a gentle mist of water. You don't want to drown them. Just keep the soil evenly moist. If you'd like to speed up germination, you can cover the whole carton with a piece of plastic wrap to create a little greenhouse effect. Place it in a warm, sunny spot like a windowsill or a kitchen counter that catches the morning light. When your seedlings grow a few inches tall, it's time for the magic moment. Take the scissors and cut out each section of the carton, leaving the seedling inside its cup of soil. Then plant the whole thing, carton and all, into your garden bed or a larger pot. The paper will break down naturally, feeding the soil as it disappears. It's a small act, starting seeds this way. But as you watch those first green leaves push up toward the light, you can't help but feel a spark of hope. It's proof that even the simplest, humblest materials can help life flourish. And isn't that what we're doing, dear friend? Helping things grow with whatever we have at hand. You know those empty soup or tomato cans that often end up in the trash without a second thought. Smooth and sturdy, they've held our meals together, yet once emptied, they're too often tossed away. But in the garden, they can take on a whole new purpose, becoming bright little homes for herbs that perfume the air and add flavor to our plates. This project is delightfully simple, and it's gentle work you can do while sitting at a table with a cup of tea nearby. Start by gathering your cans. Any size will do, though the standard soup can is perfect for a single herb. Peel off the labels and give each can a good wash. There's something satisfying about revealing the bare, silvery metal beneath. For drainage, you'll need to make a few small holes in the bottom. A hammer and nail will do the job nicely, and you don't need many. 3 or 4 will let excess water escape without spilling soil. If you'd like to add some personality, this is the time to decorate. A coat of leftover paint, a strip of washi tape, or even a ribbon tied around the middle can turn a plain can into something cheerful. Now fill each can about 2/3 full with fresh potting mix. Choose herbs that suit your cooking and your senses: parsley for garnish time for roasts, oregano for pasta, or mint for cooling summer drinks. Plant 1 herb per can, pressing it gently into the soil and topping up with a little more mix until it's snug. Water lightly, just enough to moisten the soil without leaving it soggy. These little herb cans are perfect for a sunny kitchen windowsill, a patio table, or even a shelf by the back door. They're light enough to move easily, so you can follow the sun or bring them indoors when the weather turns. And because they're small, they're manageable. No heavy lifting, no bending, no overwatering. One of my favorite things about this project is how quickly it makes your space feel alive. Within a week or two, new leaves will unfurl, filling the air with fragrance. And each time you snip a sprig for cooking, you'll smile knowing it came from something you saved from the bin. In a way, these tin can gardens are a quiet reminder beauty and usefulness don't fade with age or wear. They just need the right setting to shine again. Much like us, they have more to give when we look past what's empty and see what's possible. So next time you're rinsing out a can, don't toss it. Keep it close, you might be holding tomorrow's little burst of green. Do you remember when we used to collect stacks of CDs, music albums, home videos, maybe even computer programs from years gone by? Now many of them sit tucked away in drawers, scratched and forgotten. But in the garden, even those worn, shimmering discs still have a role to play. With a little creativity, they can dance in the breeze, scatter sunlight across your plants, and even help keep curious birds from snacking on your strawberries or seedlings. This project is light, easy, and fun, perfect for an afternoon at the patio table. Gather 4 to 6 old CDs, the more scratched the better, as their imperfect surfaces scatter light in every direction. If you want a touch of color, you can paint one side with bright patterns or cover it with decorative stickers. But honestly, the silvery rainbow they naturally reflect is already beautiful. To make your mobile thread fishing line twine or even sturdy sewing thread through the center hole of each CD. Tie a knot to secure it in place, leaving enough line so the CDs can swing freely. Then attach the other end of each line to a branch, an old coat hanger, or even a piece of driftwood for a rustic look. When the sunlight hits them, the discs will sparkle and flash. This natural shimmer catches the attention of birds, making them think twice before swooping in for a snack. Place your mobile near vulnerable plants like tomatoes, berries, or newly sown seeds for a gentle, non-harmful deterrent. The best part is watching how the light changes throughout the day. In the morning, the reflections are soft and playful. By midday, they're bold and bright. And in the late afternoon, they turn golden as the sun dips low. On a breezy day, your mobile will twirl lazily, creating a little bit of magic right there in your garden. Making one doesn't require bending, lifting, or long hours of work. You can assemble the whole project sitting down and hang it with just a quick stretch of the arm. And because CDs are so lightweight, you can rearrange or add to your mobile whenever you like. I think what makes this idea so special is how it transforms something we once treasured then forgot into a new source of joy. Just like music used to fill our homes, these sparkling discs now fill the garden with movement and light. It's a reminder that even in a new chapter, we can still shine in our own way, reflecting beauty wherever we're placed. There's a certain tenderness in holding an old teacup, isn't there? Maybe it belonged to your mother, or it was part of a set you once brought out only for special occasions. Over time, a chip on the rim or a hairline crack might have made it too fragile to use for tea. But that doesn't mean it's lost its charm. In fact, those little imperfections can make it even more endearing. And with a few simple steps, that cup can hold something new, tiny living jewels we call succulents. Succulents are wonderfully forgiving plants. They don't need much water, they grow slowly, and they look like something straight out of a miniature fairy garden. That makes them perfect for small, delicate containers like teacups. Best of all, this project is light on effort, no digging, no bending, just a bit of gentle crafting at a table. Start by giving your cup a rinse to remove any dust. If it's cracked, don't worry. Succulents prefer a bit of dryness, and a small crack can even help with drainage. If your cup is fully intact, you can sprinkle a thin layer of gravel or crushed stones at the bottom to keep roots from sitting in water. Next, fill the cup almost to the top with cactus or succulent potting mix. If you don't have that on hand, a regular potting soil mixed with a bit of sand will do in a pinch. Choose a small succulent, something like echeveria with its rosette of leaves, a string of pearls that drapes gently over the side, or a hardy hen and chicks variety. Nestle the plant in, tucking the soil gently around its base. Give it just a sip of water. Succulents like to be on the dry side. Then find a sunny spot for your new creation, a windowsill, a porch table, or even as part of a centerpiece for an afternoon tea gathering. Over time, the plant will settle in its roots, winding gently through the soil, just as your memories wind through the cup's history. There's something deeply satisfying about seeing a once broken item given a new purpose. The teacup, once a vessel for warmth and conversation, now holds a living reminder that beauty can be reborn. And each time you pass by, you might find yourself tracing the tiny chip with your finger and smiling. Not because it's perfect, but because it's still here, still lovely, still holding something precious. So the next time you see a lonely cup at the back of a cupboard or at a thrift shop shelf, bring it home. It might just be the start of a little garden in the palm of your hand. There's something delightful about strawberries, bright red sweet, and just the right size to pop straight into your mouth. For many of us, they bring back memories of summer mornings bending down in the garden to find those little jewels hiding under the leaves. But as the years pass, bending and kneeling aren't as easy as they once were. That's why this next idea feels like such a gift, a vertical strawberry garden made from an old hanging shoe organizer. You might have one tucked away in a closet right now, canvas or fabric with deep pockets meant for sneakers or sandals. Instead of shoes, imagine each pocket holding a lush strawberry plant hanging right at eye level. It's gardening without the backache, and it saves space too. Start by choosing a fabric or canvas organizer with at least 8 to 12 pockets. If you only have a plastic one, that's fine. Just make a few small drainage holes at the bottom of each pocket using a sharp knife or nail. Lay the organizer flat on a table or bench so you can work comfortably without straining. Fill each pocket about 3/4 full with potting mix or compost. Then place one strawberry plant or herb in each, pressing the soil gently around the roots. Heavier herbs like parsley or mint also do well here if you want a mix of plants. Once all your pockets are planted, hang the organizer on a sturdy wall fence or railing. Make sure it gets at least 4 to 6 hours of sunlight each day. Morning light is especially gentle and perfect for strawberries. When watering, start from the top row and let the excess trickle down to the lower pockets. You can use a small watering can or even a spray bottle for more control. The joy of this setup is in its simplicity. No crouching to check for ripe berries, no tangled ground-level vines. Instead, you can stroll out, see the fruit blushing in the sun, and pick them straight into a bowl without even leaning forward. And there's something whimsical about it too, rows of plants cascading down like a living green curtain dotted with bright red berries. It feels a little bit like magic, as if your garden decided to grow upward instead of out. This is a project you can start in an afternoon and enjoy for months, and it works beautifully on balconies, patios, or even sunny walls indoors. It's proof that when we think differently about the things we already have, we open the door to fresh possibilities, sweet ones in this case. So, dear friend, the next time you see an unused shoe organizer, don't think closet. Think strawberry patch at arm's reach. There's a special kind of charm in an old ladder, the kind that's been leaned against walls for years, its rungs worn smooth by countless steps. Maybe it's been in your family's shed for decades, or maybe you spotted one at a yard sale, paint-speckled and full of stories. Instead of letting it gather dust, why not give it a new life as a vertical garden? And to make it even more magical, we'll wrap it in fairy lights so it glows softly in the evening. An A-frame ladder works best because it stands on its own, but even a leaning ladder can become a showpiece against a wall. Start by giving it a quick cleaning, just enough to remove loose dirt. If you want a splash of color, paint it in a soft pastel or classic white and let it dry. The paint doesn't just freshen it up, it sets the mood for your whole garden corner. If the steps are too narrow to hold pots, lay wooden boards across them to create little shelves. Cut them to size so they fit snugly, giving your plants a sturdy place to sit. Begin placing your pots, heavier ones on the bottom for stability, lighter ones up top. Herbs, trailing flowers like ivy or lobelia, and even small succulents work beautifully here. Now comes the part that turns it from practical to enchanting fairy lights. Choose a solar-powered or battery-operated strand so you don't have to fuss with cords. Start at the top and spiral the lights around the frame, tucking them neatly so they peek out between pots and leaves. By day, the ladder is a cheerful layered display of greenery and blooms. By night, it becomes a glowing sculpture, casting a gentle light that makes the garden feel warm and welcoming. Place it in a patio corner by a porch railing or even as a focal point in your backyard seating area. This project is kind to the body. You can arrange everything at a table before moving the ladder into place, avoiding long stretches of bending or lifting. And it's endlessly customizable. You can change the plants with the seasons, add little garden ornaments, or switch out the lights for a fresh look. What I love most about this idea is how it brings together old and new. The ladder, with its history of hard work, now supports life in a gentler way. Holding flowers instead of feet, shining light instead of bearing weight. It's a quiet reminder that we too can find joy in different roles as the years go on. So, dear friend, the next time you pass by a weathered old ladder, see it not as something finished, but as a stage waiting to be dressed in blooms and light. If you've ever replaced a section of rain gutter or spotted some discarded by the roadside, you might not have thought twice about them. Long, narrow, and plain, they don't seem like much. But in the garden, they can become sleek, space-saving beds, perfect for growing fresh salad greens and herbs, all at a comfortable height, so you never have to stoop or kneel. This idea works especially well for those of us gardening on balconies, patios, or small backyards where every inch counts. By mounting the gutters to a fence railing or wall, you can turn an unused vertical space into a tidy row of edibles you can harvest at arm's reach. Start with old or unused gutters, plastic or aluminum, both work fine. Give them a thorough wash to remove any dirt or residue. If they don't already have end caps, seal each end with corks, duct tape, or silicone plugs so the soil won't spill out. Drill small drainage holes along the bottom, spaced every 6 to 8 inches to prevent water from pooling. Mount your gutter securely at waist or chest height using bracket screws or even heavy-duty zip ties for railings. The key is stability. You want it strong enough to hold damp soil and plants without sagging. Once mounted, fill the gutter with a lightweight potting mix, leaving about 2 inches of space from the top to keep soil from washing over when you water. Lettuce, spinach, arugula, parsley, and green onions all thrive in shallow soil, making them perfect for this setup. Sow seeds directly or transplant small seedlings, spacing them a few inches apart. Because the gutter is narrow, watering is quick and easy. A gentle spray or small watering can will do. One unexpected benefit. This design keeps your greens cleaner. No more bending to wash dirt off leaves. They grow neatly above the ground away from mud splashes. And if you choose a spot with partial shade, especially in the afternoon, your lettuce will stay crisp and sweet even in warm weather. The gutter garden is more than just a clever use of space. It's a gentle nod to efficiency, to working smarter instead of harder. It reminds us that gardening doesn't always have to mean sprawling plots and heavy tools. Sometimes it's as simple as a wall of greenery right where you can see, smell, and reach it. So next time you see an old gutter headed for the landfill, picture it not on a roof, but lined with tender greens swaying in the breeze, your own little salad bar growing at the perfect height for comfort and joy. There's a certain charm in old kitchen tools, especially those that have served faithfully for years. A colander, for instance, might have drained countless pots of pasta or rinsed fresh berries from the garden. One day its handle loosens or the metal starts to dull, and it finds itself tucked away in the back of a cupboard. But in the garden, that same colander can become something quite special, a whimsical hanging planter that drains perfectly and adds rustic beauty to any porch or patio. This project starts with a simple rescue. Find an old metal or plastic colander, even one with a bit of rust or wear. If it's looking particularly tired, you can give it a new coat of spray paint in a soft garden, color pastel blue, sage green, or warm cream. This not only brightens its appearance, but also helps protect it from the weather. Because colanders already have plenty of holes, they're ideal for plants that like well-drained soil. To keep the soil from slipping through, line the inside with a piece of cocoa liner burlap or even an old t-shirt cut to fit. This will hold the soil in place while still letting excess water escape. Fill the lined colander with a lightweight potting mix, leaving a couple of inches at the top so water doesn't spill over. For plants, you might choose trailing flowers like petunias or lobelia, which will spill gracefully over the sides, or herbs such as thyme, oregano, or mint, which stay lush and fragrant. To hang your new planter, attach 3 equal lengths of sturdy chain or strong macrame cord to the colander's handles or sides. Bring the chains together at the top and secure them to a hook on your porch ceiling, a tree branch, or a shepherd's hook in the garden. The result is a planter that sways gently in the breeze, catching the light and releasing the scent of its blooms or herbs. When it rains, water runs naturally through the holes, and when the sun shines, the flowers or greenery seem to dance in their airy basket. This is an easy, low-effort project. No bending, no heavy lifting. You can assemble the whole thing seated at a table, then simply hang it up with one quick lift. And perhaps best of all, it gives a hard-working kitchen tool a graceful retirement, turning its practicality into pure decoration. It's a reminder that usefulness doesn't fade, it simply changes shape. In the same way we adapt to new seasons in life, an old colander can move from the kitchen to the garden, bringing joy in a whole new way. Every now and then you come across an old chair that's lost its seat. Perhaps it's been sitting in the attic, chipped and faded, or you spotted it at a thrift store with a price tag that made you smile. Once it held someone at the table for countless meals and conversations. Now, with a little imagination, it can hold something else entirely, a cascade of flowers, turning it into what I like to call a flower throne. The beauty of this project lies in how little it asks of you physically, yet how much charm it gives back. Begin with any wooden or metal chair, preferably one with a missing or damaged seat. Give it a quick clean to remove dust and cobwebs. If the paint is peeling, you can sand it lightly for a smoother finish, but you don't have to aim for perfection. Those weathered edges often add to the appeal. If you'd like, brush on a coat of paint in a soft pastel or bright cottage color to suit your garden's personality. To create the planting area, you'll need a wire basket or a sturdy plastic bowl that fits snugly into the seat frame. Line the basket or bowl with a cocoa liner burlap or even an old pillowcase to hold the soil. Fill it with a good quality potting mix, leaving a bit of space at the top for watering. Now comes the fun part, choosing your flowers. Go for a mix of heights and textures, cheerful petunias, cascading lobelia, and marigolds for a pop of gold. You might even tuck in a few trailing ivy plants for a lush spilling effect. Plant them closely so they'll grow together into a full overflowing display. Once planted, place your flower throne in a spot where it can be appreciated, perhaps at the entrance to your garden by the porch or as a whimsical focal point along a path. As the flowers fill in, they'll transform the chair into a living sculpture bursting with color and movement. This is an entirely accessible project. You can plant everything while sitting comfortably, and once the chair is in place, it's easy to tend with just a quick watering or light trimming. The result is a statement piece that invites smiles from everyone who passes by. More than that, it's a reminder that even when a part of us no longer works as it once did, we still have beauty and purpose. The chair may no longer be strong enough to hold a person, but it can still hold life, color, and joy. And perhaps, dear friend, that's the heart of upcycling, finding the gift in the next chapter. There's something nostalgic about a mason jar. Maybe yours once held homemade jam cooling on the counter or pickles lined neatly on pantry shelves. The thick glass, the familiar clink of the lid, it all feels like a piece of home. But even if they've retired from the kitchen, these jars can still serve a beautiful purpose in the garden. With just a little imagination, they can become tiny greenhouses perfect for starting seeds on a windowsill. This idea is wonderfully gentle on the hands and back. You can prepare everything while seated at a table with your gardening supplies close at hand. Start with clean mason jars. Any size will do, though pint jars are a nice middle ground. If you don't have lids, that's perfectly fine. We'll be using the jars upside down. Fill small seed starting trays, yogurt cups, or even paper cups with moist seed starting mix. Label each with the plant's name so you'll remember what's what. Then sow a few seeds in each cup. Herbs like basil and parsley, or vegetables like lettuce and tomatoes are ideal choices. Cover the seeds lightly with soil, just enough to keep them snug. Now take your mason jar and place it upside down over the cup, completely covering it. The glass will trap warmth and moisture, creating a miniature greenhouse effect. This keeps the environment stable, which is especially helpful for seeds that like a little extra humidity to sprout. Set your jar-covered seedlings on a sunny windowsill or a bright kitchen counter. You'll notice tiny droplets forming inside the glass as the sun warms it, nature's own gentle water cycle. Once the seedlings sprout and reach a couple of inches tall, you can remove the jar during the day to prevent overheating and put it back on at night for protection. The best part of this project is that you can watch your plants grow up close day by day. There's a quiet joy in seeing that first bit of green push against the soil, knowing it was nurtured right there in the warmth of your home. And when the seedlings are strong enough, you can transplant them cup and all into larger pots or the garden without ever disturbing their roots. Mason jars in this role are like old friends who've come back to help in a new way. Once they held food to nourish you, now they shelter tiny plants that will do the same. It's a full circle of care and a gentle reminder that with a little creativity, the tools of yesterday can grow the life of tomorrow. An empty wine bottle might seem like nothing more than recycling waiting to happen, but in the garden, it can become a quiet helper, one that keeps your plants watered without you lifting a finger for days. This self-watering trick is simple, elegant, and perfect for those of us who sometimes forget a daily watering or simply want to save our backs from hauling heavy cans. Start with a clean, label-free wine bottle. Any color works, but clear or green glass looks especially charming tucked among potted plants. Fill the bottle with clean water all the way to the top. If you have a water spike, ceramic, or plastic, you can attach it to the bottle's neck for an even steadier flow, but it isn't strictly necessary. Now comes the quick flip. In one smooth motion, turn the bottle upside down and insert its neck into the soil about 2 or 3 inches from the plant's base. Press it in deep enough so it stands firmly. The water will begin to release slowly as the soil dries, creating a steady, gentle source of moisture that can last for several days depending on weather and plant size. This method is especially useful for container gardens, hanging baskets, or plants that tend to wilt quickly in the summer sun. It's also a wonderful way to keep plants happy while you're away for a weekend. You can refill the bottles right where they stand, no bending or carrying heavy jugs across the yard. If you want to add a touch of beauty paint, the bottles with weatherproof designs, wrap them in twine, or let the sun catch their natural shine. On bright days, the glass sparkles between leaves almost like a hidden garden ornament. What I love most about this idea is how it blends form and function. The bottle doesn't just water your plants, it becomes part of the garden's character, standing quietly at work while you enjoy your time elsewhere. And perhaps there's a metaphor here too. Like the bottle, we can still pour out goodness steadily, drop by drop, in ways that may seem small but make a lasting difference. Sometimes the simplest solutions are the ones that free us to enjoy life more, knowing the essentials are cared for. So before you toss that bottle into the bin, give it a second look. You might be holding not just glass, but a ready-made garden helper waiting to serve silently, reliably, and with a little sparkle. You've probably seen them before, wooden shipping pallets leaning behind stores stacked in hardware yards, or even left out on the curb. Most people pass them by without a second thought. But in the garden, a pallet can become a vertical wall of life filled with flowers, herbs, or even vegetables, all framed in rustic charm. And with a coat of soft pastel paint, it transforms into something that feels straight out of a cottage garden. This project starts with finding a clean, sturdy pallet. If it's been outdoors, give it a quick scrub to remove dirt and let it dry in the sun. Sand any rough spots, especially on the edges where hands will touch. Then comes the fun part, choosing a color. Soft mint green, lavender, or buttery yellow can instantly give it a warm, inviting look. Brush on your paint and let it dry completely before planting. To hold soil in place, staple landscaping fabric to the inside backs of the pallet's shelves or compartments. This creates little pockets for your plants. Alternatively, you can tuck small pots directly into the spaces, which makes changing plants with the seasons even easier. When filling the shelves with potting mix, work from the bottom up so you don't spill onto the lower levels. Compact, shallow-rooted plants like herbs, pansies, or trailing alyssum work beautifully here. For a lush, spilling effect, alternate upright plants with ones that cascade gently over the edges. Once your pallet is planted, lean it securely against a wall fence or railing, or mount it firmly in place. Water from the top shelf and let gravity help carry moisture down to the lower plants. The beauty of this design is how it brings gardening to eye level. No kneeling, no bending, just easy tending and harvesting. And because the pallet is narrow, it fits perfectly in small spaces, adding greenery without taking up precious ground. By day, it's a cheerful splash of color and life. By evening, it becomes a peaceful backdrop, especially if you add a string of solar fairy lights woven through the slats. It's practical, too perfect for keeping herbs right outside your kitchen door ready for cooking. What makes this project so special is its transformation. A pallet that once carried heavy loads now supports delicate blooms, herbs, and beauty. It's a reminder that with a little care and vision, we can repurpose not just objects, but moments and memories, giving them a softer, brighter second life. So next time you spot a pallet on the curb, don't walk past it. See it as a blank canvas for your garden, ready to be painted, planted, and brought into full bloom. An old tire is one of those things most people are eager to be rid of, heavy, worn, and not much to look at. But in the garden, it can be transformed into something unexpected and truly serene, a miniature pond. This simple project adds a touch of water's calming presence, invites birds and butterflies to visit, and creates a peaceful focal point you can enjoy from your favorite chair. Start by finding a tire from a car or motorcycle. Give it a good scrub with soapy water to remove dirt and any lingering road dust. You can leave it its natural black for a rustic look, or paint it in soft, natural tones to blend with your garden. Choose where your pond will live. You can either set the tire on top of the ground or dig a shallow space so it sits partially or fully recessed. If digging feels like too much work, simply placing it on a sturdy level spot works perfectly for a container-style pond. To hold the water, you'll need a heavy-duty plastic or pond liner. Lay the liner over the tire and press it into the hollow center, smoothing out wrinkles so it fits snugly. Trim away any excess, tucking the edges under the tire or securing them with decorative stones. Fill the pond with clean water, letting it sit for a day to warm and settle. Then add your choice of water plants. Small lilies, water lettuce, or floating hyacinths all work well. You can place potted aquatic plants on bricks inside the tire so they sit at the right depth. For an extra touch of magic, place a few smooth pebbles or a small statue along the rim. If you'd like the sound of moving water, add a small solar-powered fountain. The gentle trickle will not only soothe your ears, but also keep the water fresh for visiting birds. This is a project you can do almost entirely standing or seated, with only light lifting involved for placing stones or plants. Once it's set up, care is minimal. Just top up the water as it evaporates and remove any fallen leaves. What's beautiful about a tire pond is its transformation. Something once destined for the landfill becomes a vessel for life, reflecting the sky, sheltering fish or tadpoles. and offering a drink to butterflies on a summer afternoon. It's a reminder that stillness can be just as powerful as movement, and that beauty often blooms in the most unexpected places. So the next time you see an old tire, picture it not in a pile of waste, but as a quiet circle of water catching the sunlight and cradling a little piece of nature's peace. Cinder blocks are often thought of as purely practical, gray, sturdy, and a bit plain. You might see them stacked at a construction site or holding up the corner of an old workbench. But with a little imagination, they can become the foundation for something both useful and beautiful, a garden bench that doubles as a planter. It's a perfect blend of comfort and greenery, and it can be made with minimal tools and effort. To start, gather 6 to 10 cinder blocks depending on the size of the bench you'd like. Choose blocks with the hollow openings running all the way through. These will become your planter pockets. You'll also need 2 or 3 sturdy wooden planks for the seat, each long enough to span the space between your 2 sets of blocks. Begin by stacking 2 or 3 blocks on each side with the holes facing upward. This will create the legs of your bench. Make sure they're stable and level. Placing them on a flat surface will help. If you want to add a bit of color, you can paint the blocks with exterior paint in cheerful shades, or even stencil a simple pattern along the sides. Before adding the planks, take advantage of those block openings. Fill them with potting soil and plant low-growing herbs like thyme or oregano, or trailing flowers such as alyssum and lobelia. Over time, the plants will spill gently over the edges, softening the lines of the bench and weaving it into the garden around it. Lay the planks across the top of the stacked blocks to form your seat. You can leave the wood natural for a rustic look or seal and paint it for a cleaner finish. Add outdoor cushions or a folded throw for extra comfort, and you'll have a spot that invites you to linger. What makes this project so kind is how easy it is to put together. The blocks are heavy but not unmanageable, and once they're in place, you won't need to move them again. You can do most of the work standing or seated, and the planting itself is simple and at waist height. This bench becomes more than just a place to rest. It's a living piece of the garden. You can sip tea there in the morning surrounded by flowers, or sit in the cool of the evening while the scent of herbs drifts up around you. It's a reminder that our spaces can serve more than one purpose, offering beauty and comfort at the same time. So next time you see a stack of plain cinder blocks, picture them not in a construction pile, but as the base of a seat where you can watch the garden grow right at your fingertips. Sometimes the simplest ideas are the ones that quietly change everything. Take the humble plastic bottle, light common, and usually tossed into the recycling bin without much thought. With just a few quick steps, it can become a reliable watering system that keeps your plants happy for days, even when you can't be there to tend them. This project is perfect for those hot summer weeks when soil dries out faster than we can water, or for times when bending and hauling heavy watering cans feels like more effort than our bodies want to give. Best of all, it can be set up in just minutes. Start with a clean plastic bottle, anywhere from 500 ml to 1.5 liters, depending on the size of the plant you're caring for. Use a thumbtack pin or small nail to poke 4 or 5 tiny holes in the bottle cap. These will control the flow of water, letting it drip slowly into the soil. Then, with a pair of scissors or a craft knife, cut off the bottom of the bottle. This opening will make it easy to refill later. Fill the bottle with water, screw the cap back on, and quickly turn it upside down, pressing the neck a few inches into the soil near your plant's roots. The water will seep out slowly, giving the plant a steady drink over the next 2 to 3 days, depending on the heat and humidity. If you'd like to make it look a bit prettier, you can wrap the bottle in burlap twine, or even paint it with cheerful designs before placing it in the pot or bed. In a larger garden, you can set up several bottles this way, spacing them between plants to keep moisture consistent. What's wonderful about this method is how it works while you rest. You can sit on your porch, enjoy your morning tea, and know your plants are being cared for without lifting a finger. It's also a thoughtful solution. If you're going away for a weekend, you'll come home to greenery that's still fresh and thriving. And maybe in its quiet way, this project is a lesson. Just as the bottle gives its water slowly over time, we can offer our care in gentle, steady ways that make a lasting difference. It doesn't have to be grand or complicated sometimes. A slow, constant gift is the one that sustains life the best. So before you toss that empty bottle into the bin, pause for a moment. It might just be your garden's new best friend, working silently, faithfully, and without complaint. Some books are simply too worn to read pages, yellowed spines, broken covers scuffed from years of handling. They might be too fragile to donate, yet too full of memories to throw away. Instead of letting them gather dust, why not let them tell a new story? With just a little care, an old hardcover can become a beautiful home for small succulents, blending the worlds of reading and gardening into one timeless keepsake. Begin with a sturdy hardcover book, one thick enough to hollow out a space in the middle without weakening the covers. Open the book and set aside the first 20-30 pages. They'll frame your planter and keep its charm intact. With a sharp craft knife, carefully cut a rectangular hollow through the remaining pages, going layer by layer until you've reached a depth of about 1.5 inches. Once your hollow is ready, brush the inside edges with a layer of Mod Podge or craft glue to seal the pages together. This step keeps the planter strong and prevents soil from slipping between the paper. Next, line the hollow with a piece of plastic, wrap a sandwich bag or another waterproof barrier to protect the book from moisture. Fill the lined space with a small amount of succulent potting mix. Choose petite varieties, rosette-shaped echeveria, tiny haworthia, or hennin chicks all work beautifully. Nestle them gently into the soil, adding a touch more mix around the roots to hold them in place. Succulents don't require frequent watering, which makes them perfect for this delicate container. Every week or two, give them just enough water to lightly moisten the soil, avoiding any spills over the pages. Place your book planter somewhere where it can catch bright, indirect light on a coffee table bookshelf or even as a conversation piece on the porch. This project can be done entirely seated with no heavy lifting or bending. It's a gentle meditative process, cutting, lining, planting, like crafting a little secret garden tucked inside a favorite story. What makes it special isn't just the finished look, but the way it feels like a second chapter for something well-loved. The book once held words and ideas that grew in your mind. Now it holds living plants that grow in your home. Both are stories worth cherishing. So next time you come across a battered old novel or a volume missing its dust jacket, think of it not as something finished, but as a garden waiting to be opened. You may find that your newest blooms come from the oldest pages. Well, my dear friend, what a journey we've taken together. From dusty boots and chipped teacups to rain gutters, wine bottles, and even old books, we've seen how the things most would throw away can become treasures in the garden. And not just any treasures, ones with personality, history, and a touch of your own heart in every leaf and bloom. Gardening this way is more than making something pretty. It's about giving second chances, about seeing value in what others pass by. It's about remembering that beauty doesn't depend on being brand new. Just like us, these objects have stories etched into them, and with a little care, they can keep on giving. As we age, our gardens may change shape. The rows may be shorter, the tools lighter, the work gentler on our bodies. But the joy is still there, the joy of planting, tending, and watching something grow. These recycled and upcycled projects prove you don't need a big plot or heavy labor to make magic. All you need are your hands, your imagination, and the willingness to see possibility where others see waste. I hope at least one of these ideas has sparked something in you. Maybe you've already pictured that old ladder on your porch glowing with fairy lights, or your kitchen windowsill lined with tin can herbs. Perhaps you're already thinking about which book you might turn into a succulent planter. Whatever it is, I hope it brings you the quiet pride that comes from making beauty with your own hands. Before you go, I'd love to know which idea made you smile the most. Was it Shirley's kettle birdhouse, the wine bottle watering trick, or maybe the strawberry-filled shoe organizer? Share it in the comments, so our whole little Golden Seniors living family can be inspired by your favorites. And if you haven't already, subscribe so you can join us each week for more gentle, joyful gardening inspiration. This is your space, your community, and together we'll keep finding ways to make the most of what we have, one tiny garden at a time. Until next time, dear friend, may your days be peaceful, your plants be happy, and your hands always find something beautiful to create. Happy gardening.